everybody, in this tutorial I wanted to give you some basics in Grease Pencil, so if you wanted to try out the program, it's not going to be so overwhelming and confusing. This isn't going to be like comprehensive in any means, but hopefully it'll help you out. So since this is about 2D animation, Grease Pencil, it's helpful to pick, when you're opening up the program, to pick 2D animation. The rest of them, this is better for 3D, sculpting, and then obviously like After Effects. So pick 2D animation, and then you're gonna see this when you open up the program. If you're completely new to Blender, it's really cool to know that you can change a lot of what you see in the program. If you go to Edit, Preferences, a really nice thing for accessibility is you can change the way it looks. So if it's hard for you to see certain colors, you can change anything that you need to. I keep it in deep gray because it's pretty. You can put add-ons in so that you can customize the experience, and then you can get things that are helpful for anything that you're doing. And then Keymap is where you'd want to go if you're starting out and you only want to use this for Grease Pencil. Go to middle mouse action and then change it to pan, so that whenever you move the camera, you just have to click the middle mouse instead of shift middle mouse. That's helpful. I keep it in orbit though because I'm very used to Grease Pencil 3D, well, Blender 3D. These are how you change like your hotkeys, which is helpful if you're used to like a different program. And then always go and click Save Preferences, just in case it doesn't save. I don't know. I was told to do that. Okay, now that you have Blender set up in whatever way you want, I'm going to try to give you a brief overview of what you're looking at right now. Where my mouse is right now is like the Workspace window, which is where you're going to do all of your animating or all of your modeling if you're using Blender. Up here is the workspaces that it has. Depending on what you chose at the beginning, it'll be different, but this is the full canvas. It's just helpful for like watching it back, or at least that's what I've used it for. Compositing is pulling in like video editing, actually. Rendering is for your rendering your animations, and you have more settings for making it nice. Coming back to 2D animation, which is what I use to work in, you see over here your outliner, which will show you all of the objects in your scene. Right now you're working in Grease Pencil, so you see stroke. You can have multiple strokes in a scene, and then they'll have separate like animation layers. Over here is the, I guess, like all of the objects and all of their properties. So here's like a modifier which you can add on to your objects, your object properties, your material properties, your world material properties, which in Grease Pencil, basic flat Grease Pencil, you can just change it and it'll change the canvas color. Also, right clicking when you're doing any operation will cancel the operation, and you don't have to worry about hitting backspace or Control Z. Here is where you get all of your layer properties, which you can see your layers down here in the Grease Pencil timeline. And this will show you where all of your keyframes are. Right now we have blank keyframes, and you can move them just by clicking and dragging them around. And you can zoom in by scrolling with your wheel and then moving around with the middle mouse button. Okay, now I'm going to try to give you guys a quick and brief overview of what draw mode is, which is the mode that you want to be in when you're drawing anything, which will change the stroke. These are where you can see what mode you're in. The other modes that you can use for animating are Sculpt Mode and Edit Mode, maybe White Painting, I don't know, I've never used it for Grease Pencil. Object Mode, you can animate the entire animation, but you won't be able to edit any of the frames. So in draw mode, you'll see your toolbar over here. Right now we have draw, which is using, right now, the pencil. If you want to change the brush that you're using, you can go and click on this button right here, or you can click N, go to Tool, and then you can see all of your options here. Also go to Brush Specials, and then click Download and Import Texture Brush Pack, and then you get a bunch of new brushes! And then here is like your tool settings, so you can change like the material that you're using, although I usually go over here into material properties and then I change the materials this way. Okay, so click N again to get that out of your way. You can also click T to get the toolbar out of your way if you need to. Okay, so let's just draw a smiley face. Yay! Okay. The other options that you have are fill bucket, erasing, tinting, which will use vertex paint. Gonna be honest, not very confident in vertex, so I can't say anything about it. And then cutting is cutting out certain parts of the drawing. Okay, you also have eyedropper for color. And then over here is helpful if you're using like a mouse like I am right now. You can just use shapes, and then anytime that you can change the shapes, and then once you're happy with it, you hit enter. Or if you're using it for like line art, you can get it perfect, and then you have to hit enter for it to be solid and in. Okay, here is also where you can see your materials, which are over here, and you can change the material that you're using and drawing with. Another good thing to note is that when you're, say, drawing over here and you're putting strokes down, you can just right click and you can change the radius that you're working in. And again, you can right click if you mess that up and you want to go back to like what you were at. Right click to cancel that. You can change the layer that you're drawing on, and then you can change the material of the tool you're using. An important thing to utilize whenever you're animating in any program is the layers. So if you click over on Object Data Properties over here, you can see all of the layers that you have. Right now we're using the line art layer, but to add another layer, all you have to do is click this plus button. To delete the layer, you hit minus, but you can change the name by double clicking and saying sketch. You can have a layer that you don't ever touch that's just for references, so that you can have like the line that you want your animation to follow, like the movement line. So like, let's draw, wow, that's such a fun line. And if you have a layer that you're just using for reference, it's smart to come over either here, you can come and you can lock the layer. You also can change the visibility, and you can also change like onion skinning. That's like anything. You can also lock it up over in your layer properties over here. Another huge thing to note is onion skinning. If you like to use that, it's in the Object Data Properties. Click on the layer that you want to edit your onion skinning, and come down, scroll down to onion skinning. You can change the opacity of the onion skin. You can change the number of keyframes that you want. You can also change what your onion skinning is. I just use keyframes. And then you can change like the colors of your onion skins. So if you want like red and green or blue and green or whatever, to change them. We don't really have anything drawn yet, so I'm going to draw a quick animation and then we'll keep learning. Okay guys, now that I've finished doing a really quick and bad animation, I'm going to show you how animating works with the different modes. Right now we're still in, oh wait, actually I'm in object mode right now. If you click tab, you open up a pie menu and you can get to any of the modes really easily, which is what I use to navigate. So now we're back in draw mode, and here you can drag your timeline through. You can also hit the spacebar to play it. And then using the arrow keys, you can navigate through your animation frame by frame. If you're not happy with your animation, like say maybe you missed a frame, or let's say you accidentally have too many just too many frames. They don't make any sense. Like if we watch this back. Or it looks better, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, all you have to do to change your keyframes is select them down here. You can do a box select to move and drag them around. So if you need extra space for entering a keyframe, all you have to do is grab them, move them over, go to the right frame, and then draw. And then it'll auto keyframe. As long as you have this button right here selected. If you have it unselected, then you will draw on the frame and it won't change, and then it's edited the old frame. That's pretty much the basics of editing your frames in draw mode. You can also go into edit mode, which is really nice, and you can change your animation. Oh, and auto key on, you'll move over to 19, and you can add some wiggle to the end of this. So now our animation does a little jiggle at the end. Yay, how exciting! And you didn't have to redraw anything, and with auto keyframing on, you don't even have to add frames. If you don't have your auto keyframing enabled, or the program isn't working right and it's not auto keyframing, all you have to do is press I, let's say inactive group, and you have a new blank keyframe. So outside of scaling, there's a bunch of other operations that you can see up here in your toolbar. There's move, rotate, transform is all three of those together. There's extruding, which will increase the amount of points at the end of a line. And that's how grease pencil objects work. So if you look in here right now, we have the selection option right now is just like the whole entire stroke. So if I click off of it, it'll select the entire stroke. But you can also go and select only points, and then you see all of the points that make up a line. This is because it's vector based. So if you go to the end of a point, you don't really have any more data, so it becomes like jagged and pointy. If you want more data, you can hit extrude and then just pull it and then hit enter. I guess you have to click off of it. In addition to extrusion, we have radius, which is really useful if you don't have a drawing tablet, because you can make certain parts of your drawing thicker with the radius tool, or thinner. And also you can click on proportional editing mode, or just hit O to enable it. And then use your middle mouse wheel to scroll, and then you can get a gradient in your selection, which makes part of it thicker. Then we have shit like bend, which bends from like the center of the entire animation, which is unfortunate. Whatever. There's shear. And then to sphere, which if we select the entire thing, it turns into a little sphere. Wow, how cute. All of those are going to be animated the same way as you saw the scale was animated, and hotkeys to remember for the edit mode is G is move, transform, S is scale, R is rotate. And if you want to be specific, like if you need to nudge something in one direction, you can add the directions that you need, like the axes that you want to move on. So G, X will move everything just on the X axis, and that will be very helpful in the long run when you're not just doing sketches. That's pretty much all there is for animating it with edit mode, which leaves us with sculpt mode. Sculpt mode is pretty simple. It's similar to edit mode in that you're editing each keyframe and each drawing on each keyframe. The only difference is you don't have to have what you want to change selected. And in your toolbars you have your choices for what you want to do. Smooth is really useful for if you have like shaky line weight and you want it smooth, you can just put this, and it's like a smoothing operation. It's mathematical, so it might be a little confusing. It's very scientific. It's not like always going to be automatically what you think smooth is going to look like. Thickness is an easier way of doing what I showed you before. You just hold your tool over it and it'll make it thicker. Strength is going to be the darkness of your line, or your like, opacity. So fun. You can change the strength of the tools that you're using by either right-clicking and changing it over here, changing the radius, or you can do it up here. Randomize is really fun. It gives you like a shaky line. I'm going to put the strength way down actually, but it'll give you like a little bit of roughness in your line. If you have the strength all the way up, it gets pretty crazy pretty quickly, which is fun if you want that. It's just like a randomizer, and you can animate that. There's an easier way to do, which I'll show you later though. And then the rest are like, if you need to fix your line art a little bit, or you could use it for something else, I don't know. Pinching. We'll pull things together, right? So like just test things out. It's really simple and it's animated the same way. Okay, the last mode that you really need to know anything about is object mode. So if we go over there, in object mode, you can edit, animate the entire animation, so things like moving it around, scaling it, making it come towards the camera, rotating it, blah blah blah. Those are all things that you can do. It's a lot like if you've ever used Blender 3D, it's like animating in Blender 3D. That's because the grease pencil is a 3D object. Like if you go out into 3D, oh, there it is, in 3D space, wow. So since we have this object selected, we can click on move, and then we're in object properties over here. Clicking on this will make it so that the object property is animatable. And then you get automatically keyframes wherever you press that. So, oh, he wiggles. And then let's say we have like a camera pan. Sure. And then there it auto keyframed. I am in the dope sheet right now. Before we were in the grease pencil dope sheet, which shows you all of your keyframes that you drew. Yeah. So you can change that just with this little menu right here, dope sheet, and then you have your keyframes that are automatically interpolated with the Blender 3D animation program. If you want to change the interpolation method, you can right-click Interpolation mode, and then it has all of these. So if you want it to be constant, which is like something that I use a lot when I'm doing rough animations, or doing like an animatic, it'll just jump from keyframe to keyframe without any interpolation. And then obviously these are all different like easings and effects, and you just have to test them out if you want to do something interesting. Another thing to note in a dope sheet is that you have the end of your animation here, and you can slide it and it'll change the length of what you're rendering. So if we want the animation to be 100 frames long, we just have to switch that, and then we can have the object move towards us. Let's see, I don't know if I can do that in this movement. Okay, I'll get out of there, and then you can have it move towards the camera. Wow. And if you want to watch that back, it's gonna look really great. Wow. So that's just the basics of animating a 3D object. There's obviously way more you can do, but those are just simple things, and that's how you would do it. Just make sure that you click over here to say what you want to animate, and then once you're animating it, you just have to click on here to create a keyframe for that specific property. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to go over with you guys is modifiers. If you go over here into the modifier tabs and click add modifier, a really fun one to do is noise, which will add noise to your object, and it'll give you a bit of visual texture if you want like that hand animated look but you don't have the time, or I don't know, it's just a nice little texture. These are all of the properties that you can use to change it, and also something to note is that you can animate these, so you can change the strength over time, or like the noise seed will change, and you can animate these all like you would in After Effects. Yeah, see, you can animate all of this. And it should be, let's see, okay, I think it's affecting our object, yes. So if we want to watch what it's doing right now with no changes, it's just adding movement, and you can change the properties to make it look the way you want it to. I'm going to change the position. Okay, And you can change like the strength, whatever you want. Noise seed should be basically where it starts in the procedural equation. So it's starting, you want to like, basically if you think of a math equation graph, it'll start you on a different spot on the x-axis. And just a quick thing, if you want to see how you animate it, you go over here, you click the animate property, it'll show up on your dope sheet. You can scroll down, zoom in, and there it is in the object transforms. Move forward, and then just move it over here. You can do that, or you could change it up here, it doesn't really matter. And then it's different. And that's just how the animation of the properties will work. And if we want to watch our fun little animation, wow, how cute. So that's pretty much it for our very brief overview of Blender Grease Pencil. I know it's really long, but there's still so much there is to explore, so if you guys really wanted to try this out, I hope you have fun exploring and looking up a bunch of tutorials. There's definitely a lot out there. I wish you guys luck. Bye!